Let's bring our friend Thomas Malinen in from Europe, from Finland, right, Thomas?
Yeah, Helsinki, Finland.
Yeah, all right. So how have you been? We haven't talked. There have been so many dramas in the market
Yeah,
since you and I talked. What happened in April, and then the fastest recovery in history as
yeah.
well. The biggest dollar decline as far as speed and magnitude. So, what's top of mind? What are you writing about to your subscribers here?
Well, currently we're just well, I just returned from a vacation. Yeah, it was a luxurious break of 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
So we drove to northern Norway. It's a place, if you plan to visit Europe, you absolutely need to go to northern Norway. They are
Uh-huh.
the sceneries are so great. I've been there since well many times since childhood, basically. And then I went to cottage and farm and brought parts of my book. So I've been like
Oh,
I've been following what has been happening during the past 3 weeks only, like
yeah,
with the side eye.
yeah,
And I have to mention this. While in Norway, I was without a phone, so that the phone was uh, closed and
yeah.
out of power in a car for 5 days. It was one of the most relaxing experience I've had for I don't know, several years. So I would urge everyone to take a phone-free break, like just a few days. It is really, it
Yeah,
does.
I tell you, it disturbs your peace all the time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I actually lived well, after I had a health crisis without a cell phone for about 3 years, and
yeah,
people were able to get me on a landline if they needed me, and then I fell back into it, and I have to turn it off. If you're taking a nap, you're getting beeps and chimes, and it's really has taken over our lives. I think that's a great idea, especially for traders that are receiving sometimes too much information overload.
yeah, yeah.
To clear your head or find a meditation type practice. But yeah, um, I think that what we think is a convenience has made us slaves to it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is something, and the information you need to absorb nowadays is rather massive. It's just not the economy, but the geopolitics and the
Yeah,
like what you spoke a bit earlier, the well, the somewhat chaotic nature of the current U.S. administration. There is thing,
yeah,
however, with that, I consider that Trump always has a plan, but he kind of plays it. By hard. I don't, maybe if we could describe it that way, and it may look chaotic, but it's part of the kind of strategical angle he's playing. Of course, there's persona involved, but I think the biggest decisions are rather well thought out. It doesn't mean that they uh, they result to a good decisions, but I think they have really planned those out, like with the tariffs even.
okay. So do you think they're going to get all these deals are going to happen without? How about Europe? You're there. Do you think that it seems like we have one with Japan, but now I'm hearing things that it's really not completely solid. What about Europe? Is there going to be a problem there?
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be a problem everywhere. You cannot just make up trade deals in a matter of weeks. They usually take a lot of time to finish because there are a lot of details. So I don't, but I think there's a leeway here in the sense that Trump is willing to walk back from tariffs if he sees positive developments. But in Europe,
Mm,
it's a mess in the sense that we have national interests are being trumped, so to speak, by the European Union and the very authority and rule subjected over us by the by von der Leyen, the Commission president. So Europe is a mess. So I don't know, how do you see the situation in the U.S. You may see a uniform message, but it's not under the surface. Everything is moving. So I don't really know. I have, as you know, I have been critical on the future of Europe for some time now, and but we're reaching something of a hinge point in a
With
way that
what?
we
With
have
Ukraine?
what
With Ukraine, or the
everything,
experiment,
everything.
the experiment of the euro being, having that currency that doesn't, one size doesn't fit all.
No, people are kind of waking up now that things are not good in the EU. Everything, everything kind of, or in Europe in general, everything kind of affects it. That Ukraine, immigrants, euro, the continued economic stagnation, and especially the deindustrialization of Germany, which is massive. And like people in Germany are waking up. Okay, our country is being overrun by African immigrants while our economy is deteriorating seriously. So I don't. It, I'm talking about a hinge point in the sense that either something really drastic happens and the kind of the governmental structure of the European Union cements itself, or then we gonna have something of a cataclysmic breakup. So someone's gonna leave the EU and it may, fall apart altogether. So I think
Who's your candidate most likely for leaving?
Hungary,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's a no-brainer. They are like
Yeah.
they have been treated really badly by the European government just because they are like you may think what you want of Viktor Orban, but well, I've been in Hungary many times in a conference, and I have friends, and even our partner lives there. And generally, people are very satisfied with the policies driven by Orban. Not all, but generally, they think that Orban is defending the interests of Hungarians. And so,
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, it's difficult to say, but there is chaos brewing in Europe, and of course we have this dark shadow of the risk of an outright war with Russia. It's there constantly because of Ukraine, but there are no interesting developments happening in Ukraine which make me positive. Once again, you probably heard that there is something of a new Maidan going on in Kiev, in parts of Ukraine, because of
Yes.
the yeah because of the of because the Zelensky regime started tried to or established a control over the anti-corruption bureau. Basically, this is the simplified version, and people got fed up with that. But I think like if these demonstrations really spread, I think there needs to be some kind of background force. It cannot be Russia. So if these spread, it's gonna be the
NATO.
Trump administration who is driving this. Like I could show you one thing I just published yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's here.
Let me
Yeah.
unshare. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're like there are three things that need to happen if like and this is the interesting thing like according to several reports, President Putin said that during the next 60 days or 40 days left now, but in early July he announced that he will uh, uh, make a renewed push to get all the areas in Donbass in his control, and around 10 days after Trump comes out with his 50-day deadline. So they have the same deadlines essentially.
Okay.
So that's an interesting thing because I think they have an agreement between Putin and President Trump. They have an agreement, and it's twofold. First, Trump,
Get rid of Zelensky.
yeah, yeah, but in overall, it gives Russia, Kremlin, free hands more or less to handle Ukraine. But at the other end, Russia will support the aims of getting a nuclear deal with Iran. I think it works this way.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and
Interesting.
if I don't know, have you seen the comments? But I think it was in the 13th of July. uh, sorry, President Putin said in an interview that he would like to see a zero what's the word? Well, that zero enrichment deal with
Okay,
with Iran, and that's a big thing. And I think
that
it
is.
would mostly escape the mainstream media. But these these give us hints that okay, there may be a deal. But what would be required for a lasting ceasefire in Ukraine? There are three pieces that Russia would need to break through in the Donetsk region to get at least very close to there's a heavily fortified Slavyansk Kramatorsk pair of cities. They would need to get there, which is in the northern part of Donetsk, and there would need to be an ousting of Zelensky with someone with a less dire view towards Russia taking his place. And if we want to speculate a bit, there's like 40 days left now before the 50-day deadline of Trump ends. So something needs to happen within Ukraine to get like an exit path for Zelensky. And this thing, the anti-corruption thing, could be it. We don't know, but it just fits this kind of alternative narrative, which assumes that there is a deal between Putin and President Trump. And I've been like advocating over and over again for months that you need to get rid of Zelensky for several reasons. He cannot negotiate peace. Like in Finland in summer '44, when we barely repelled the massive attack of Soviet Union in Finland, and our leaders noticed that we cannot take another one. So we changed our president. The one who had led us in the war or in war was changed to the actually military commander Mannerheim. So we did this to clear the way for the negotiations, and this is what needs to happen in Ukraine too. And I hope that the Maidan thing or whatever that's happening in Ukraine now is a first step of ousting Zelensky, and it is partly driven by US in well,
Aren't things pretty dire in Russia as a result of this war?
no,
They're not. You think they're not?
no.
Because
I
maybe that's just propaganda that I read about. People not being able to afford food. What's happened to the ruble? Um,
yeah, but ruble has been strengthening of late, actually. But the thing is that as it happens, I have few direct contacts to Russia now. These are the ordinary Russians, so I basically
okay,
know what is going on there. And there's like, well, the economy is has been overheated because of all the military spending and spending on industries, and the inflation is high. That's true, but there is like nothing sort of a collapse it's not visible there. The economy is
okay.
humming along, but it's
Well, what is visible there?
well, it's visible basically that they are well, the worrying thing is that before, like a year ago, these ordinary Russians, these contacts, they were just hoping that the war ends.
Right.
But somewhere during the spring, maybe in the April, May, I got a word that there has been a change in the mood. And
They
now
want to win it.
some are saying, and these are ordinary like middle class Russians, some are now thinking that maybe we need to fight another war. And this is because they have lost faith to Trump. The ordinary Russians really waited that Trump will bring something new. And this is also what the propaganda channels or the TV channels of Kremlin were kind of touting for, that Trump
Uh,
bring a change. So
okay.
there is
Why don't
and
they demand that of Putin?
what?
He's their president.
Yeah,
Why doesn't he bring a change? Why aren't they demanding that he finds a way to end the war? Why is it up to Trump to do so?
because Russians are considering the war more and more like existential. And the
Okay,
heavy war rhetoric from NATO has turned the ordinary Russians did not believe the narrative the Kremlin put forward that NATO is our enemy. They did not believe it before, But now, because
Well,
the war rhetoric has been so massive, they have started to think that maybe Putin is right. He has more support now than he had like a few years ago. Now,
that's
the
interesting.
yeah, it is like it has completely turned around, and this is how Russians work, how they behave when they see that the Russian motherland is threatened. Like they turn to the leader that is defending it.
Yeah,
I was just visiting one Russian who lives in. He's not my friend, but well, the friend of the woman I'm seeing, and they are very, very like they in Finnish standard they are almost rich, like very but very
affluent.
well integrated in the Finnish society. But they the friend French friend, let's put it that way, she's defending Putin heavily now, and many are thinking that Russia is under threat, and Putin is the one who can keep Russia intact and save them. And this is how the narrative have changed within a year, and this is something I worry quite a bit about.
Okay. Yeah,
This
so
is like
when
but
people have fear, they want the strong man
yeah,
to
and
deliver
yeah,
them, right?
and Russians like we have to remember that Western Russia has been run to the ground two times before. First by Napoleon in 1870, 1880, and then Hitler in the Operation Barbarossa in 1941, 1944.
Yeah. Can I
So
bring up what I think could be a new development and a
sure,
potential
sure,
expansion of the regional war in the Middle East?
sure, yeah,
So let's talk Turkey.
yeah,
Okay. I want the drumstick. Okay. No,
mhm,
now talking about Turkey, who backed the new leadership and the ouster of Assad. Do you agree that he was the money and engineered that particular move to
most
oust
likely,
Assad? Okay, so we know what's happening in Turkey.
mm,
So you say that what's happening in Turkey isn't happening in Russia. Well, the lira has depreciated, I don't know, 99.99%.
yeah,
And it's very dire. He is
yeah,
arresting political opponents, mainly mayors,
yeah,
all across the country.
yeah,
There's no love lost for Israel from Erdogan.
mm,
And like you say, dictator's playbook to unite the country during times of distress could be war.
mm,
And if there is prophecy about Damascus being turned into ashes.
yeah.
So are you worried about Israel taking out Damascus, the oldest city on the planet, and Erdogan getting involved as an adversary, which would really be complicated, a NATO member becoming a direct adversary against Israel?
Yeah, that would be interesting. Of course, like during the 12-day war, Israel started to hurt. Israel started, of course, the brilliant operation once again, but the Iranian society and leadership they just sustained. And at the
Yeah,
latter days, Israel was hurting really bad.
yeah.
So Iran kind of unleashed this attrition.
Showed their vulnerabilities for the first time.
Yeah, and there were
Yeah,
some Palestinians who wrote in social media when there were direct rocket hits to Tel Aviv that never in his lifetime would he believe that he would see this. It
yeah.
was such a massive thing. So, but the thing is that I truly think that there is this Zionist clique within the Netanyahu administration who truly think that they need to establish the greater Israel mentioned in the Bible. And if this is true, this also fits to our peak escalation narrative, then or hypothesis, then we will see another escalation. But I'm not. I don't know how are they going to take up Iran again because it's it turned to be a really tough nut. So, but maybe they tried something else. But the point here is that I don't think there will be a if Trump manages everything like properly, like what he did with Iran was pure genius in my thinking. It was a beautifully executed operation. I think most of Fordo is still there, but but it was a beautifully executed and propagandized operation, which led to to like the outcome everyone was looking for.
Yeah,
So
ceasefire.
yeah, if he manages to bring a pause to all this war going everywhere, then that would be a really a great thing. But I think it would only be a pause, because you mentioned that dictators can only survive by uniting people under war or whatever. And if we look at, if we come back to Europe, there's only one entity in Europe who really needs that, and that's the European Union. They need a war. They need European nations to unite under the EU banner and provide them all the funding to build a federal union. That's the thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
been saying this for like 4 years, even before the war, that they need a war. They need a war to create a European war union. And
So
yeah,
obviously the adversary would be Russia.
of course.
Yeah.
And these are really like dark and crazy plans we see like manifesting here.
Yeah, they're
Everything.
NATO scrambling jets over drone attacks.
Yeah. Well,
So they are flexing their muscle a bit
yeah, they
lately, I
are.
notice.
And there's a gradual buildup in the thinking of that they try to get the people to think that this is something we need to do. We need to go to a war. Europeans do not want it. Russians do not want it, although Russians seems to be turning into the point that they need to. But
Yeah.
Europeans are quite far from that still. But this is a long game. Long game. I mean, I think, I hope, to 2 to 5 years maybe. Then we'll
Okay.
see. But everything, I think the aim is to bring everything together, including the South China Sea, or the Taiwan theater. So
Okay.
I just hope that Trump is able to clear this. I truly do.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you took a vacation and recharge your battery because we're going to need you as a watchman as time goes forward, Thomas. And just
Oh,
on the
hey,
final,
I have to mention this though. I
oh,
I was away from the markets for a very long time, but then
yeah.
in the beginning of July, I bought some gold.
Okay,
Ev-
that's exactly what I was going to say. So,
Yeah,
just sit in gold and forget everything else. The volatility in the markets are great trading opportunities, but your view on risk is still risk averse.
yeah. And if you're gonna play, just prepared that the shocks will be continue to be extreme. Like, and they come out of nowhere, basically, like black swans. War starts there, conflict starts there, and this kind of stuff. But I have to also mention that we've been now running time series forecast for a multitude of variables, and basically everything we produce implies that we are now in a kind of last slow expansion, which will turn into a decline or downturn somewhere on the latter part of the year. And every single forecast currently shows that 2026 will not be good in economic wise. So
Okay.
prepared also to that.
That
There's
lines up with cycles I've been reading about and hearing from people who I respect that they may be able to hold things together through the year, through year end, maybe into the spring, but
yeah,
2026 going into the midterms is going to be a pretty negative period. So it
yeah,
doesn't look good for the midterms if we're having problems
yeah.
going into November 2026.
I could show this. This is the latter part of June, our first forecast based on the real private domestic investment, and they produce this kind of forecast for U.S. real GDP, which you notice that in the 2026, the second quarter and the third quarter in 2026, there would be quite a noticeable, drop
Yeah.
in U.S.
Okay.
GDP. So
All right. So that shows it holding together to the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the next year will not be good, but
Okay.
economy.
All right. Well, great to talk to you, Thomas. Everyone needs to go to Norway.
Yeah, next
That's
summer.
his big recommendation. And thanks
Yeah,
for keeping an eye on all the pots on the oven that are bubbling over for us.
you're welcome. Most welcome.
Okay, and you can follow Thomas at MT Melanin on X, and I did show you can go to his Substack and read what he has to say. Boots on the ground is what I say for MT Melanin, and as you can see, he talks to people on the street, not just getting, the narrative from government officials. So
Mm.
thanks again. Thanks again. It was great catching up. Okay. Thank you, Thomas. It was great catching up. And that's a
Yeah,
wrap, everyone.
thanks. Yeah, yeah.
All right. And, don't just count your potential hot zones for wars, count your blessings, pray for peace. We'll see everyone tomorrow for TGIF. Good hunting the rest of the day. You could join the team in 14 minutes on the morning edge. Adios, my trading warrior brothers and sisters. Shalom. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.